What you're watching right now, every cut, transition, and pop-in was done by Claude. Claude opened the Premiere Pro video editor, looked at my raw footage, and edited this video. I'll let you be the judge of how well it did. But this is just the beginning. I'm building a system that automates every step of YouTube video production, and I'm gonna use that system to produce these videos as I build it. Here's the full roadmap. Here's everything that's automated today, and then everything else is what's coming. And by the way, that fancy animated roadmap graphic, yeah, Claude made that. So I know you want to see this in action. Here it is. I have Claude open in a window that's just hovering over the Premiere Pro video editor. I'm going to tell it to edit my A-roll for me. So spoiler alert, when I film these videos, I am reading off of a teleprompter. I do my script beforehand, put it up, and I read it word for word. And in the moment, if I do a take that I don't like, I will just repeat myself. I will reread it off until I get it right. So this sequence that we're looking at here is just a raw sequence of me talking in front of the camera, a bunch of bad takes, me flubbing it around, me doing whatever. Interestingly, Claude, through this entire process, can only ever read the transcript. It can't actually watch the video itself, but it's pretty shocking how many things it can do just based on that alone. So you'll see that it went and it did all of those cuts for me. Now it's going and it's removing the silences out of Premiere Pro. Zoom in here so we can see it a little bit better. Pull it back up. So the next thing that it's going to do is to close up the gap. Sometimes when you're doing this A-roll editing, you'll have little fragments of gaps in between the individual clips. One other fun little thing that you can actually do with this setup is that you can have multiple Claudes working on the same Premiere Pro timeline at the exact same time. So you can imagine you have one of them that's building animations for it, the other one that's doing transitions, maybe another one that's working on the transcript, whatever. It's deleting off individual clips because it noticed that it missed that on its earlier pass. And it's all done. For the non-video editors watching this, to be clear, this would have been about an hour's worth of work that it did on its own in what, a minute? I know people are going to ask, so yes, you can try this yourself right now. It's early access, set up as manual, things are going to break, but if you still want to try it, I put a link in the description. So how does this actually work? Claude does not know how to click buttons in Premiere to edit videos, but what it does know is how to use tools. So let's say that Claude wants to remove all the silences in a video. It's not literally going to go through and select the portions of the videos that have silence and then delete them off. Instead, it performs a tool call called remove silences, which then runs a computer script that removes out all the silences for Claude. Claude doesn't need to know how that script works, it just needs to know that this is a tool that it is allowed to use. And in case you're curious, this is what it looks like when Claude asks to use the remove silences tool. The Claude desktop app sees that and then runs the silence removal script inside of Premiere. Going back to the roadmap, each one of these icons is an individual tool that Claude will get access to. For example, when Claude thinks that a part of the video would look good having an animated graphic in it, it will call a tool call called create animated graphic, where it describes what kind of graphic it wants to get made, and then a bunch of magic happens inside of the box to create an animated graphic. But Video Editor Claude doesn't need to know what's happening inside that box. All it knows is that it asked for an animated graphic, told it what it should look like, and then the magic box spit out an animated graphic for it that Video Editor Claude can put into the video. Inside of these magic boxes, a lot of cool stuff is happening, and every week I'm going to build another magic box and make a video about it. Some of these magic boxes I already have built. For example, choosing stock footage is done. I built a Premiere Pro plugin called Buzz Rolls, where editors tell it where they want B-roll, hit go, and it handles the rest, searches stock video sites, chooses the best match, downloads, and inserts it. As a human, you can download and use Buzz Rolls right now. But it was built for humans with clickable buttons. I haven't set it up for Claude to use yet, but you can imagine how Buzz Rolls would get turned into a magic box that Claude can use. It calls the find B-roll tool call, tells it where it wants B-roll to cover, and then the magic box, which is Buzz Rolls in this case, takes care of the rest. As a test for Claude, I went and I ordered all of our timeline clips into a completely random order. I scrambled them, and this new instance of Claude has absolutely no idea what the right order should be. And I had to tell it explicitly, don't go and read our original script, because it's smart enough to be like, well, the easy thing there for me to do is just go find the script file and then put everything back in the right order. But I want it to do it based on its own intelligence of understanding and deducing out what the correct narrative order should be. So if you were to look at the transcript of this video right now, it makes absolutely no sense. It's completely scrambled, and we'll see what it does. So it's going through, it's, getting all the sections, thinking to itself, trying to do all of the math on that. And it looks like it's already kind of coming up with an answer. So we'll let it run a little bit, see what it does. Okay, so after a few minutes of Claude deeply thinking to itself to make sure that it's getting this right, it is finally going through and reordering everything. It really wanted to make sure it got it right. It was just over and over again thinking to itself, being like, oh, wait, no, I didn't catch that one little thing. Let's go back and do this and do that. And then it finally locked it in, and now it's doing it. So I noticed a couple of problems looking on this. Most of them are bugs in my software, not actually Claude messing up. But if you watch through the video, it does make sense, and it did work. It did it right. It doesn't exactly match my original script, but if this was your first time watching the video, you wouldn't have questioned it. I wanted to clarify what in the edit was done by Claude versus what was done by me. So as shown in the demo earlier, the A-roll talking head footage was 99% edited by Claude. There was one duplicate sentence that I went and manually removed myself. Otherwise, the biggest other thing were these animations. These were all done by Claude. The way it works is I just selected the in and the out points, went over Claude, and I literally made a command called make animation for Premiere here, which kicks off a whole workflow. I'll talk about that in next week's video likely. But I describe exactly what I wanted in those animations. And then I often was getting the assets that contributed to the animation. So for example, these portions were screen recordings of different windows that Claude used, but the composition itself, all of the animations and the drop shadows, stuff like that, was Claude doing that. Otherwise, the cross dissolves at the end of these guys were Claude. I told it at the end of any animation, the end of the beginning, add a cross dissolve. It did that. And then there was like a pop in here. In this case, I selected the section and then told it, put a pop in here. Little other things such as doing music and audio balancing was done by me. There's no automation for that stuff yet, but the plan is to continue automating more and more of the process over time. That's it for today. Next week, we teach Claude how to make its own animations on the fly. Subscribe if you want to see that. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.